Hi, welcome to Pet Pals. I'm Dee Dee, and as you can see, I'm doing the show on my own today while Randy is away. Well, not completely on my own, because this is Alexandra, and we're going to be bringing to you some adoptable pets from Frederick County Animal Control for the remainder of this show. Animals that we hope will make a perfect match for you or someone that you know. And Alexandra is a domestic short-haired cat, and her color is called Dilute Tortoiseshell. It's a very pretty color of cat. A lot of people mistakenly call it calico, but whatever you call it, it is not as important as her lovely personality. And we have color-coded her as blue, which is what we label our cuddly lap cats, because we want to help you when you come to the shelter to be able to find the pet that's right for you. And one of the things that will help you is that we share the information that we know about the cat. And what we know about Alexandra is that she was owned by some people for the whole year of her life, and that's how old she is, about 1.5 years old. And she was living in their finished basement. They had children of all ages, and they were moving to some place that didn't allow pets, so they did not take her with them. So she is young and has a lot of family experience, uses her litter box, and the blue color coding that I told you about means that we were able to hold her like this, cut her nails. I'm a complete stranger to her, and she's completely tolerant of me not letting her get down and run around. So she will make someone a delightful pet. And if you know of anyone who might be interested in a cat like this, then please come by the shelter and meet her and meet all of our other cats and see what you think. But another thing that helps us is if you go to Pet Finder and pass her picture around to people who might like to meet her, and also this episode of Pet Pals, and we will show you a link at the end of the show so that you can share that as well. We are back with another adoptable pet from Frederick County Animal Control, and this little guy is also color-coded blue, even though he's a little wiggly. I'm going to try to let you hear by putting him near the microphone. He is a purr machine, very cute, and his two siblings are also here. They are brown tabby short hairs, just like he is. They don't have white feet, and this little one we are calling Snowshoes. And the reason I am showing you some kittens today, we don't have kittens on the show very often because they do almost always get homes pretty quickly, and by the time we put them on the TV show, you'll call up and say, oh, I want that kitten Snowshoe that was on the show, and we have to say, oh my gosh, he's already been adopted. But in this case, we have 12 brown tabby kittens in the shelter. So I do not think that you're going to be at any risk of not being able to get the kitten that you want. Things to consider are the personality of the kitten. For example, if you have small children in your home, then you are going to want to get a kitten that's color-coded blue. And as I said with Alexandra, those are the cats that let us trim their nails and trim their nails and clean their ears and all kinds of things that we do to them when they first come in. They get vaccinations and use their litter box. So they make a really great addition to a family that is willing to live through the kitten stage, which is this playful stage. They eat earrings and they climb up things and they shed a little bit. But if you are willing to put some time into that, then you will have a delightful cat that's used to your family and everything that you need him to do. These kittens are successes through our foster program, which means that you can find out all kinds of information about them. If they came in with a mother, if they were bottle fed, if they have litter mates, things that you might want to know to pick out the perfect kitten for you. This little guy, Snowshoes, is about 12 weeks old. We do spay and neuter them all before they go home with you. And we use wood pelleted litter, and people often ask us about that in the shelter. The reason we use it is because it's inexpensive, and usually cats that will use the wood pellets will use anything. So we can be pretty sure that the cat that you adopt from us is going to use the litter box and not need additional training. So if you are interested in a kitten, we get about 1,200 of them between April and October every year. So now is the time to come in and see the bunches of kittens that we have and see if there's one that's right for you. This particular one is called Snowshoes, and he has 2 siblings that look very similar and are also color-coded blue. My next guest is Cherry, and Cherry is a female black and white domestic short hair. As you can see, she's much lower level energy than the kitten that you just met. And because she came to us as a stray, we don't know as much about the experience that she might have. And sometimes people say, well, I'd much rather adopt a pet that's been in someone's home because then you know that they're used to that. But one thing I always point out is when you adopt a stray, you also are likely to be adopting a smart animal that's had a lot of experience with things like finding her own food, working out a way to get shelter, and probably experience with other animals like dogs, other cats, different kinds of people, maybe even living in a farm barn where she has seen livestock. So I would not say that adopting a cat that's raised in a home gives you a guarantee of a better fit at all. Sometimes stray animals have a lot to offer because they have a lot of experience on the road, and they are therefore more widely traveled, we'll say. She knows about things that some house cats would never see. Also, people sometimes want to have a pet, as I do, that is able to repel mice in their basement. I have an old house, and periodically I do see signs of mice in the basement. So I have a cat that came to me initially as a stray because I know that he'll be interested in chasing them out, whereas a house cat may not have that experience. You also might want to consider if you have small animals like gerbils or birds, then you would want to get an indoor raised cat so that you lessen the likelihood that they'll be predatory. So this little girl, Cherry, is available for adoption, and I will tell you, she weighs less than that little kitten that was just here. So I think she's going to be a petite little girl. We, of course, will spay her and get her started on her vaccines. If you are interested in a cat like Cherry, then please come by the shelter and meet her. Remember that we are open on Wednesday and Thursday nights until 8 o'clock, and we're also open on Saturday. That's for your convenience, so that we are able to help working people find pets if they're busy from 9 to 5. And we would like to hear from you if you're interested in her, or of course, if you know anyone who might be. You were a good girl. Our next guest is Corey, and you'll be meeting Corey's sister in just a few minutes. He is a brown tabby domestic short hair, also about 12 weeks old, and he is also part of our successful foster program. One of the things that we are able to do at Frederick County Animal Control is that we can only hold about 200 animals in the building at one time. We have 7 full-time animal caretakers, plus medical staff and supervisors and volunteers that take care of all of the animals. But we do feed them twice a day. The dogs get walked several times a day, so it is a lot of work. So once we get close to 200 animals in the shelter, we run up against deciding which animals to save, because we have to decide who we have space for. And we have 80 generous foster homes at least, and they take in animals for us that we can't house in the shelter temporarily so that we can save more animals. So it is a great program that we have, and one of the most common jobs for our foster care providers is to take kittens who come into the shelter at an age that's too young to be living here in a cage, or even if they need to be bottle fed, or if it's a nursing mother and she needs to be housed someplace where her kittens won't be subject to diseases. The shelter is very clean and we vaccinate everyone, but it's like a daycare center in here. So if one little kitty has a cold, then people come into the shelter and pet that kitten and then go right to the next cage and pet that kitten. Or the kittens even sometimes reach through the bars and touch each other. So we definitely have to consider protecting the tiny ones from exposure to colds and viruses that cats give to each other. So this little guy, Corey, was part of our foster care program. He came in when he was too little to be adopted, and he and his siblings were raised in a foster home, and they're here now awaiting adoption. So if you think that Corey is as beautiful as I do, he is a brown tabby, but he almost has no stripes. So he's got like the agouti coloring on his back, which is very lovely. But again, personality is much more important, and he is friendly and active as kittens should be. And if you think that a kitten is in your future, then please consider getting a shelter kitten, and also passing his picture around, because when people are thinking about getting a pet, the nice thing about a shelter pet is they come to you started on their vaccinations, already neutered. We know that they're litter trained, so it is a great advantage over picking up a kitten elsewhere. We absolutely appreciate people who take in strays. We call those pre-shelter cats, so we do appreciate that, but it is more of an expense for you because you have to get them started on all of the things that the shelter takes care of for you if you adopt from us. So if you are considering a kitten, please think of us first, and Corey is available now. And our last cat guest for this episode is Lily. Lily is Corey's brother, so she is also about 12 weeks old, and she also came from our foster program. And she is domestic short hair, just like Corey. And she is considered a gray tabby because she does have tabby stripes, but they're not made out of black hairs. They're made out of gray hair. So she is also quite lovely, as her brother is, and friendly, and a graduate of the foster care program, so she does have a lot to offer. If you have been thinking about getting a kitten, or if you already have a cat and have been thinking about adding a second cat, then I would like to encourage you to contact the shelter about how to go about that. Even if you don't get your cat from us, we can help you with how to introduce a new cat, how to manage any territorial wars that you have. We really do like to help people keep pets that they already have whenever we can. So also, if you have a cat that isn't getting along with, oh, it's okay, that was a bunny thump. We have, off camera, we have some bunnies. And when the bunnies are alarmed at anything, they take their back foot and stomp on the bottom. Oh, her heart is beating really fast right now. They stomp on the cage bottom, and that scared her. So one thing you do have to know if you get a cat is that these are prey animals, and that means that they can be eaten by larger animals like dogs. So if they are startled by something, their first reaction is to run away, go somewhere safe, and then think about what the noise was. So in her case, her brother wasn't bothered by that at all, but in her case, it would be important for someone to know who's going to get her, that is hard for her when she can't see things and she doesn't know what's happening. So you would definitely want to consider that in your household. If you have a lot of activity and a lot of noise and want strangers to come over, then you should think about looking at a kitten like Corey that's outgoing and bounces back really quick. She's hearing the litter dropping into a pan, and that's also worrying her. But now her heart's not beating fast, so I think she has recovered from that little startle. Poor little thing. So I am going to let her go back to be with her brother so she can feel comforted, and we are going to be back after a break with some more adoptable animals at Frederick County Animal Control.
Need an idea for your child's birthday party? Look no further. At the Middletown Rec Center, we have all your birthday party needs. We have a full-size gymnasium, our large rec room, sports equipment, and many birthday party theme ideas. Each party includes crafts, games, and a story. Please call 301-600-1646 for more information.
Welcome back. My next guest is Baby. And Baby is the dog that everyone says that they want. He is 11 months old. He's a black lab, makes a great family dog. But one of the reasons that we often get them in the shelter, especially at this age, is because right now he's a baby, but he's big. So as you can see, he's being delightfully wonderful. He doesn't pull on the leash very much. But the people who brought him to us only had him for 3 months. They got him from a friend who couldn't keep him. And they weren't able to take care of him either. And one of the things that is hard to do with an 11-month-old lab puppy, he's looking at a rabbit right now, so I'm paying attention to what he thinks the bunny is for. Most labs are very gentle with other animals, but they're so curious and strong that he wants to go over there and see, and that might be really frightening to the bunny. So this little guy was in a home for 3 months. No, sweetheart, we can't go anywhere. No, we can't. Where they weren't able to teach him very much in that time because of working full time. If you work for 8 hours a day, I know, if you work for 8 hours a day and you want to sleep for 8 hours a day, which most of us do, you're okay, then you will not have that much time left for training your dog. So we do encourage people who get a young dog to have a plan like doggy daycare or getting a dog trainer or having a dog walker in the middle of the day, and definitely long walks and lots to do on the weekend. If your life is already organized around a dog, like you like to go camping or hunting and you do some dog training, then you definitely would fit right in with a dog like this because he really needs to be part of the family and have stuff to do. There are some dog activities that you might want to look into if you're interested in a young dog like Baby, that's his name, Baby, and they include nose works for dogs as well as there are puppy classes for puppies, agility training, and I would suggest if you have a rabbit that Baby might not be the dog for you. But it could be that his intentions are perfectly honorable and he just wants to snuggle, but it would definitely be scary to the bunny. So Baby is young, but as you can see, he's not trying to pull me, he's not jumping up on me or grabbing the leash with his mouth or doing any of the many bad things that lots of dogs do when they're young, so he does have a lot to offer. And hopefully we will find someone today who's been wanting a lab and is ready for a puppy and would be interested in helping Baby become the adult that he can be. My next guest is Zoe, and as you can see, Zoe is part pug. Zoe is a 2-year-old female who lived in a house with 2 other dogs and a house full of people. And the reason that her family brought her to us is they had a family member who was expecting a baby, and they said that they were afraid that they would trip over Zoe because she's small and hard to see in their household. So we have her here and she is looking for a home. I can tell you another thing that we found out about Zoe after she came here is that she is a tough, friendly little dog. She's a little shy when meeting new people, but she can climb out of chain link. So we have her housed in our dog kennel with big dogs. So sometimes people are surprised when they come to the shelter. We do try to keep small dogs in one section and large dogs in another to make it easy for you when you come in to visit. But we can't always do it because we may be too crowded on one side and we need to use the cages for dogs that of various sizes in various rooms. So whenever you come to the shelter looking for an adoptable pet, please check all the areas of the shelter because you never know where we might be housing a particular animal for a special reason. But Zoe climbs chain link, so we would not want her, or any dog really, to be left unattended in a backyard. Dogs are social animals, they like to be with people, and if left alone, they often do try to come and find you. But in her case, we know in particular that she can get out of chain link fences, so I know, sweetie. So it would be important for someone who adopts her to know that she can do that and to prepare to keep her safe. So if you think that Zoe might be a good dog for you or someone that you know, then please let us know or come by and meet her. She's a very cute little girl and stronger than she looks. So if you are thinking of adopting a dog, or if you have a dog that you have problems training, like yard escaping or something like that, please call us. Often people don't think of the shelter as a source of information for dog behavior, but we would be happy to help you to keep the pet that you already have or find the pet of your dreams. We are back with my next guest. This is Peppermint. And we do get a high number of rabbits in the shelter, and people don't realize that if you're looking for a pet of any kind, chinchillas, rats, guinea pigs, snakes, birds, we have a wish list feature so that you can let us know what kind of pet you're looking for, and then we will call you when we get one. Right now we have 6 rabbits in the shelter, and this one, Peppermint, is a female bunny that some people got on free cycle. And when they brought her home, they thought that she was territorial and protective of her space, and they were worried about keeping her because they have a busy family and they want a pet that isn't too nervous and is pretty adaptable. one of the things that they did not know is that female bunnies should be spayed. Female bunnies are very territorial of their nesting space, and the reason for that is that's how they protect their babies, so that their babies survive to adulthood. So they don't like to be grabbed out of their cage, and they don't like to be approached suddenly, and all rabbits feel that way. But female rabbits that are not spayed are pretty sensitive about invasions of their space by strangers. And since they didn't have her very long, she wasn't able to learn that they're not dangerous and they don't intend to hurt her in any way. So one of the things that we would like anyone to know who's going to adopt a bunny is, whether it's from us or not, is that spayed female bunnies make much better pets for children. And we do spay the bunnies that we adopt out from here. And it is a great deal because spaying a bunny can be expensive, and we charge you less in the adoption fee than it costs to have them spayed. So it's a great deal for you if you want to have a rabbit for a pet. And something that you should know about rabbits is that they require at least as much attention as a cat. They are social. They don't necessarily want to live with another rabbit, but they want interaction with you. Peppermint is ready for a new home, and we definitely recommend that if you find a pet on FreeCycle, obviously adopting a pet from someone who has owned the pet is a good idea because they can tell you all about the pet. But do talk to a veterinarian, talk to your friends, and feel free to call us about what that animal actually needs so that you would be able to keep the animal after you adopt. It is great to take in a homeless animal because it can spare them from coming to the shelter. But if you are not prepared, then they end up at the shelter anyway. So we would definitely like to help you get all the information you need to adopt any kind of pet that you're interested in. You're being very good. I am back with my next guest. This is Snowballs. She is a guinea pig, and I'm not sure that you can see her like real detailed, but she is a beautiful white guinea pig that has frosting of gray hair on her ears and around her eyes. Makes her very cute. Sometimes white rodents have pink eyes, and she does not. And she's gonna whistle. She's whistling a little bit so you can hear the noises that she makes. And Snowballs was turned into us because her family was downsizing. First time I've ever heard that term used for relinquishing a pet, but it's just as accurate as anything else. They felt that they had too many mouths to feed and they weren't able to continue to care for her. I'm gonna see if you can hear that because it's really cute. Can you let me hear it? I'll see if you can hear the little noises she makes. Guinea pigs are very vocal, and that's one of the reasons that people like them, is that they're social. They often do like living with another guinea pig, but they have to, just like us, get to know them first. You can't just go out and buy a second guinea pig and throw two guinea pigs together. They have to be properly introduced and have a little time to get to know each other before they move in together, which is just wise. And she is available for adoption now. One of the things people don't often know about guinea pigs is that they eat hay like a horse or pony, and also there are guinea pig pellets that they can eat supplementally, but what is in the pellets is concentrated hay and some vitamin C. Guinea pigs are one of the few animals that don't make their own vitamin C. People do, dogs do, and horses do, rabbits do, so they don't need to supplement their diet. You also can supplement their diet with some greens, leafy greens like parsley and kale. You don't want to give them too much raw vegetables because then their stool is softer, which is a cleanup issue for you. Guinea pigs are not too easy to house train. So when they're allowed out, which they do need to be strong and healthy, they should have a designated area that you can put them in safely. They do like to go outside if they're in a safe enclosure and you stay nearby to make sure that no dogs or wildlife harasses them. Some things to know about taking them outside is that they are very susceptible to direct sunlight, making them too hot. So they have to have shade, they have to have water to drink, and you want to be careful where you set them down because they're also sensitive to bug spray. So if you do lawn service and you have fertilizer out there, then perhaps they can't go outside in that area. But you can designate a special spot for them where you know there's no chemicals or no runoff from chemicals so they can go outside. They like to eat dandelions, they like to eat clover. You just want to limit the amount they can have at one time so they don't get stomach upset. So if you think that a guinea pig would be a nice pet for you, I think they make excellent pets for kids, then let us know. And if you know someone who might be looking for a guinea pig, then feel free to pass around this episode of Pet Pals or her picture on Pet Finder. We are back with my next guest, Camry. And Camry is a blue grass parakeet, also known as a budgerigar. And they make very nice little bird pets. They're usually bred in captivity. In Camry's case, he does not have a band on his foot. So that could come from a few reasons. Number one could be that he was bred in captivity by someone who never banded him, or that the band was removed because some people believe that the band causes a hazard in the cage and they have the veterinarian remove it. So we don't know much about where he came from. And what we do know is that he flew into someone's house a few years ago. They decided to keep him and take care of him, and they're now moving out of state, and they don't want to take him along, so they brought him into us. A couple things to know about budgerigars or parakeets. They're very gregarious and social, so if you're not going to get another bird, then you definitely want to be able to put the bird in an active part of your house and spend a lot of time talking to him. They are able to talk. Their voice is very tiny, as you can see by their body it would be. And usually the people who live with the bird know most what the bird is trying to mimic or say. But on record in the Guinness Book of World Records, the most talkative parakeet ever was a female. So males are allegedly more likely to talk, and he is a male. But it does not bar them from, getting a female does not bar them from being good talkers. They're more likely to talk if you only have one and spend a lot of time with him. And they're also more likely to talk if words have some meaning for them. For example, if you use certain phrases when you feed them and shower them and play with them, then they're more likely to use those phrases because they have value to the bird so that they can ask for things. The cage that this little guy, Camry, is in is much too small for the life of a bird. You might imagine if you had wings and you could fly, you would certainly want to be able to do that every day. So a lot of bird cages are made tall and thin because that's what fits in our households, but that's not at all what the bird needs. It would be much better for him to have a low horizontal space like is provided by a rabbit cage so that he could fly from one end to the other. So this is also the noise that parakeets typically make. And it's important to know that because some people don't want to keep them in the family room where people are going to be watching TV and movies because they're definitely going to make this noise when things of interest are going on. When he first came in, his toenails were really long. So there are a couple of reasons for that. Number one is that parakeets should have a lot of variegated sizes of perches so that they exercise their feet and wear their toenails down. But number two is diet. Most people feed parakeets seeds that they buy in a box that says parakeet seed on it. That's fine, but that's what parakeets eat in the winter when fresh food isn't available. He should eat, much like the guinea pig, fresh greens. There's pelleted food for parakeets that's just like dog food, bird kibble. And he should also have vitamins and a variety of foods that you would cook for him, like oatmeal or rice cereal. There's a lot of things that parakeets should eat to be healthy. If you imagine being a bird and flying all around the area and picking up things in small amounts wherever you can find them, that's the diet that's optimal for them, not a bowl of tiny little grass seeds. Another thing to consider with the seed diet is that oftentimes people look in the bird's bowl and they see that it looks full. If you check that out, sometimes it's only the shells because parakeets do eat the inside of the seed and not swallow the seed whole. So the bowl can look full when there's really no food left in there. So that's something that you should be aware of, changing out the food bowl every day to make sure it has fresh. And I don't know if you can see it very clearly in the view here, but this, I'm not trying to scare you, sweetie, is millet seed. And that is something that parakeets really relish, and that's in its pretty fresh form. It's dried, but that's how it grows, and they like to have that as well. Thanks for joining me on this week's episode of Pet Pals. We will be back next week with a whole bunch of new animals, And you can find a link to this show and others on the screen below. And don't forget about checking out petfinder.com. Thanks for joining us.